is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going to check out the video. What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with a video for Tuesday. We're going to continue the What to Expect series, and we're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets, a team with a lot of excitement, a lot of hype, and a lot of people looking forward to this season, especially the Denver Nugget fans. But there's also a lot of happiness around. A lot of people are very hyped about this team. Paul Millsap was a big addition last year. I did have them making the playoffs. I did not see Paul Millsap missing as many games as he missed, which was basically over half the season. Um, Unfortunate for him to do that because he's age 33. He's getting paid regardless, but you would like to see some type of success, especially when you have good intricate parts on this team that can really shoot and they have a lot of versatility. Now, this is one of the tougher teams to guard because of their movement and their ability to space the floor. Plus, they can go inside to Nikola Jokic, and he can, dominate one-on-one or even dominate with the ability to pass the basketball while also being a solid rebounder. He's not the most athletic guy. He's not the most lateral quick guy, but he's just a smart guy. He knows where to be. He knows where he should do, and he knows the playbook. That's one thing I definitely give him credit for is he knows where his teammates going to be. He knows where they should be, and he's very patient in the post, whether he's in the mid or high post or even in the low post. He has been an excellent, phenomenal player. They did not expect him to be as good as he is, and that's why they gave him the contract extension. And he is their best player besides Paul Millsap. I think Paul Millsap is up there with them, but I don't really know how he's going to come back after this full off season. If he can get back healthy, get that hand right, get some good drills in, and get some good training camps and some preseason in, I think Paul Millsap can still make an argument for the best player on his team. But based off last year, you have to give credit to Jokic. He basically had an all-star season without being an all-star. He was that phenomenal. Only problem I always said is that he reminded me more of a Paul Gasol, a guy that can rebound, score in the post, shoot the jumpers, whether it's mid-range. He stretches out a little bit to the three-point line. I think he's more of a modern-day Paul Gasol. But the problem I have with Paul Gasol is, can he be your best player? And we've seen Jokic failed to make the playoffs the last 2 years as the best player on this Denver Nugget team. Not only that, even though they did barely miss it the last 2 years, it still counts as a miss. And on top of that, can he really win you a series? I think that's a legitimate question because we haven't seen them make the playoffs. And not only that, we still had to see him in a playoff series. Some people raise to the occasion. Some people fall flat. And it is about matchups, and it is how they focus in on you. He has never played in a playoff series, so we really don't know if he's going to be dominant, is he going to be worse, or is he just going to be okay? But a lot of people, even Hall of Famers, even some of the best players of all time, done had bad series or bad matchups against certain teams and got embarrassed. So it's part of the game, but I just want to see, can Jokic really lead this team, and how far can he lead them? Because they tied a lot of money up to Jokic. And you got to remember, they did pay Gary Harris, and they did pay Paul Millsap for the next 2 seasons. Well, one more season after this year, but this season and that year, even though he could opt out, we will see what's going to happen because they're going to have to figure out, is Jokic going to be our guy? And if he is, how far can we ride him? How much can we get out of him until we see how good we are? And I think that's the biggest question around this Denver Nuggets team. Can Jokic be the franchise guy? Can he be the best player on a championship team? And as of right now, I don't believe it. But I also didn't think Paul Gasol could do it as the number one pick, and as playing in Memphis, not even to win in a playoff game. He was a perfect complementary piece to Kobe Bryant. They went to 3 straight finals for a reason. So maybe Jokic ain't that guy. Maybe they can trade for that guy. Maybe they can draft that guy. They drafted Michael Porter. They drafted Jamal Murray. Gary Harris was a good steal for that pick. maybe they can develop into those guys. Maybe they got to trade one of those guys to get that guy and keep Jokic as the second or third option. I don't know, but I think that's a question that I've been asking and nobody really has the answer because we haven't seen it. One thing I would say is Gary Harris hit a big shot to get some redemption on the Oklahoma City Thunder last year. Jamal Murray had made significant improvements coming from a guy that was a streaky scorer to a solid starter at that point guard position and giving him he's age 21. He can shoot that three. He can get to the paint enough. He can attack the defense. And I like Paul. I like Jamal Murray. I liked him in college. I feel like he will be a starter in this league, and it's good to see him get acclimated to that right now as a starter. And I think he's only going to get better. The worst part about him was the shot selection and being trigger happy, and the other part about him was the inconsistent minutes. I feel like he was able to feel himself, build the chemistry, know his role, while also not being scared to be himself. And I think that he built upon that from his rookie year going into his sophomore year. And now I definitely want to see him become one of those breaking out stars, one of the most improved players. I think Jamal Murray has the shooting ability. He has the talent. He has enough help so he don't have to carry the load, and he can shoot on and off the ball. He's quick enough to get out in transition and get threes and mid-range and layups. I don't see why Jamal Murray can't be a 20-point scorer, and I don't know why he can't do it this year. He does have another backcourt mate that I want to talk about in Gary Harris. The guy is a solid defender, an excellent three-point shooter. He has made strides to his game. At one point, we didn't even know if he can be in the league. We didn't even know if he can be a starter in this league, how bad he played his first couple of seasons. And now he's showing you that he's a legitimate starting two guard in this league. And, even though he might be that trade chip to get them to where they want to go with that superstar number one option. But as of right now, not too many people going to be mad about having Gary Harris on their team. He can start on a lot of teams in the NBA, and his ability to play on and off the ball is great. And I think he still can make a lot of improvements with his ball handling, his decision making, and his ability to score more versatile. I want him to add more moves to the repertoire. I think he has to do more than just be a catch and shoot guy. I think he can do more than that. I've seen guys like Klay Thompson and Bradley Beal add the post game or add some ball handling duties to their game, and he did that a little bit. But I think he can go even further. I think this core, before they find that guy, can develop even more. Jokic, Jamal Murray, and obviously Gary Harris. I think that they can do more, and I think that they can get better. They still got solid players like Will Barton, an all-around guy that's not really amazing in too many things, but he plays his role well within the fit of this team, in the fit of this offense. Trey Lyles is a guy that's smart, 22 years old, not really paying them that much, can play multiple positions, the 3, the 4, and sometimes 5. Not a good rim protector, but he's a guy that can give you some offensive versatility. Obviously, you got Michael Porter Jr., a guy that can play the 3 or the 4, can space out the floor, create his own shot at that 3 position, and he has size to play the 3 or the 4. But if he does play that 3 position, you can see lineups with him and Trey Lyles at the 3 and the 4. You can see lineups with Jokic at the 5 and them at the 3 to go even lankier and longer and quicker. Even though they might not be the best perimeter defensive team, they can give you some problems offensively and some matchup nightmares, even if you want to put Will Barton on the bench. And Michael Porter Jr. is a great isolation scorer. He's a great ball handler for his size, and he can really heat up when he does get the minutes. So I would like to see where he is a year from now. Also, when you add in the fact that he can play that 3 position, it does make you think Will Barton, he's 6'6", and Michael Porter 6'10". That can be some real matchup nightmares with him and Trey Lyles on the court with Jokic. But you got Juan Hernan-Gomez. He's a solid player for that. 22 years old, can be a versatile big, can play the center position sometimes, can really give you some outside shooting, some streakiness still, but his game has still yet to pan out. We'll see what they get out of him. Other than that, they made some roster. They minimalized their roster, traded some players, cut some fat. They was over the salary cap. They needed to thin some of their talent. They was filled at a lot of positions. They needed to thin out that talent and give more minutes to their better players like Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, and Will Barton, and just focus in on a main core. And like I said, this year to me, not only would I do think they'll make the playoffs, but I think they just need to continue to build on these players and get more out of them before they try to make that push for a superstar. and that will increase their value under their contracts. And remember, they pay Paul Millsap, they pay Gary Harris, they pay Jokic, and they now they got paid Jamal Murray. So somebody's gonna have to go, guys. Somebody's gonna have to go, or either Jamal Murray's gonna have to take a pay cut. But I don't really see that happening. I think Jamal Murray takes another step and become one of those 18, 19, 20-point scorers. I think Gary Harris pushes himself to get in that same range. I think Jokic has, a little pressure to live up to the hype as an all NBA All Star caliber player, as the best guy on this team. Arguably with Paul Millsap, can he really get this team to the playoffs, and can they stay healthy? Like I said, them cutting a lot of their fat on this roster for salary purposes really hurt their depth. I still think they have enough. They can still go 8 deep, which is good enough. But the players they are relying on is a little young. Like I said, Trey Lyles, he hasn't really been in big games enough. Same with um, Juan Hernan Gomez, and same with other players. But they do have some small veterans that I want to talk about. Richard Jefferson, I don't think he'll be coming back, so don't count on him. But they do have Isaiah Thomas, a guy that already made it to the Eastern Conference Finals as the best player on the team. He's coming off that hip surgery, which he missed significant months. I think he should be ready to go by the start of the season, because he missed so many games during the season, and now being in the off season and them not making the playoffs made him. Him not being in the playoffs made him miss even significantly more time to get that body right, to get that hip right, and just get back in the NBA shape, get back to playing this game. I think he's gonna have his own unit since Michael Porter might not play this year. Him and Trey Lyles and other players like Juan, I think he's gonna come in there and just give them double digits. They need somebody that can carry that offense. They need somebody that can give Jamal and Gary Harris some rest. And I think he's hungry. He wants to prove himself. He still wants to show that he's one of the best players in the league. And the best way to show it is going out there playing a game, going out there having fun, but also knowing that you do have to make a living off this league. So Isaiah Thomas knows the weight of this season. He can get paid more money. He can get a better paying and role. Maybe he can be a six man for another team, but he can get even more money if he takes this season as a redemption season. And it could be hard for him sometimes coming off that injury. But I think that, I'm not the biggest Isaiah Thomas fan, but I think he'll be fine. I liked it when they picked him up. He doesn't add nothing defensively, but he adds that six man that can come in and really carry that offense for him, since they don't have Chandler no more, and they traded some other players off this roster. So I think that gives more minutes for him, more opportunities for him, and we done seen what Isaiah Thomas can do offensively, whether it was in Phoenix, whether it was in Sacramento, or whether it was even in Boston. He is one of the best scorers at that position, and I think that with the floor spacing and the coaching staff that they have in Denver, they can get up and down the court. He can use his speed and quickness to go downhill. He can get some stop and pop jumpers because of Jokic. He has the floor spread out because of Jokic and Murray and Barton and Gary Harris. So even if he takes out Murray, he's going to have enough floor space until where he can pick apart the defense by going straight down or getting to the paint or even doing some pick and roll. Worst case scenario, he can always kick out to a shooter or dump it off to Jokic, or even give him a stop and pop or a pull up trail three, or even a spot up three if they try to help or trap Isaiah Thomas. Or even if it's one-on-one, he can cook anybody if he can get that body back to where it was. So I think this team is good. I think they have enough. I don't think they get out of the first round, depending on their matchup and depending on who they play. Injury is going to play a huge part into their season, because they cannot really afford to take a hit to Jokic. They cannot afford another big hit to Paul Millsap. But guard-wise, I think that with Barton, with Isaiah Thomas, they will be fine when it comes to guard play. If an injury happens, I think they'll be able to take that part. But when it comes to Jokic and Millsap, they cannot miss too many games unless they will miss the playoffs again. Or if they do be able to take the hit, they will be a 7 or 8 seed, which means they have to play Golden State, Houston, OKC, or even San Antonio, or even the Lakers in the first round. And them all teams you want to avoid, but those are the teams they going to most likely play, and that's why I have Denver winning about 48 to 50 wins. That should be good enough to get them into that 6, 7, or 8 spot. And I do see them getting out in the first round if they play those teams. But injuries and trades happen. We don't really know what's going to happen. But if they're in that position, I don't think they make it out of the first round. If they do go against a team like OKC or Portland or even Minnesota, I can see them winning that series and getting to the second round. But if they don't get any of those teams, Then worst case scenario, they make it to the playoffs. Best case scenario, they get out of the first round and lose in the second round to San Antonio, Houston, or Golden State. And if that happens, that's not a disappointment. That's really what we all think gonna happen anyway. Even Denver fans don't think they can beat any of those teams. But like I said, watch out for injuries and watch out for the trade deadline. Teams can move up. Denver right there. They in the fight for New Orleans. They in the fight for they in that area where they're fighting against the New Orleans Pelicans, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Timberwolves and the Trailblazers and the Utah Jazz. They in that 6-man race to fight for that last spot, and only 2 teams can really get it because I think the top 6 is solidified, and I think they have enough talent to do it. It's just going out there actually doing it, and that's going to be the thing. They haven't been able to do it the last 2 years, but maybe they can get it, stay healthy enough, build that chemistry in the off season and in training camp and in preseason, and then make that push in the beginning of the season and just build from there. If that happens, this team will be in the playoffs. If it don't, if they have injuries, a trade, or even if they can't get it together with Paul Millsap, then this team is going to be a 9, 10, 11 team that's going to win 30 plus games but not good enough to make the playoffs. And then from there, they're going to have to pay Jamal Murray. And it's going to be a decision for them to make in the offseason. What can they do to improve this roster? What move can they make to make them a championship contender in the West? And I think that's the bigger question. Even if they do make the playoffs this year, what do they do next to become contenders? And I think that's the biggest thing after building chemistry and developing their young talent. I think next year is that year where they try to make that move to really try to move into that championship competition as Steph Curry and them gets older, and we don't know if DeMarcus Cousins is going to come back. That's an opportunity for them to thrust right into that middle pack and fight for a chance to go to the Western Conference Final, to have an opportunity to go to an NBA champion. Let me know what you guys think about the Denver Nuggets. Do you think they're overrated, underrated? Do you think they won't be a playoff team? They will be a playoff team. They barely miss it. Do you think they can't afford the injury? Do you think they make that trade this year? Or do you think that Jokic can prove all us wrong and carry the team to the playoffs as a 4th or a 5th or a 6th seed? Or do you think people sleeping on them? Or do you think people just they're just another good team in the West that's like with Phoenix, Sacramento, Dallas? They got enough talent to play, but they don't have enough talent to really take them overhaul and make it to the playoffs. Let me know. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. Also, check out my spread shirt. If you want t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, anything you want is on my spread shirt. Thanks for supporting the brand and the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis, I'm gone. And let me know what you guys think about the Denver Nuggets. Will they finally get over that hump and make it to the playoffs with Nikola Jokic and Paul Millsap being their front court depth? It's tough, but let's see.